Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I understand that it's been a good while since I last uploaded here, and I'm sorry about that. As I said before in my community post, life was pretty rough last year and the year before, but that's in the past and I'm feeling a lot better now. Anyway, here I bring you part 7 of what if Spider-Man was in Teen Titans. We left off with the recovery arc after the events of the symbiote. Peter was then reminded by Gwen about prom coming up, and Peter, upon lying to Flash about having a date, asks Raven to go with him, who by some miracle agrees to. Meanwhile, Slade is hiding in the dark, now with a new ally. With that out of the way, let's continue where we left off. In Season 3, Peter doesn't exactly change much of the main story, so I'll quickly summarise the small episodes that he is in that he has some interactions with. In the episode Bunny Raven, or How to Make a Tiny Animal Disappear, Momo breaks out of prison and robs a bank. The Titans arrive to stop him. The episode is relatively the same, only with small interactions where Peter tries not to laugh about how adorable Raven is as a rabbit. And once everyone gets turned into animals, Peter expects to be turned into a spider, but is unfortunately a pig, while Tara is a moth. Fast forward and they figure out how to defeat him and escape the magic world. For Titans East, again, these two episodes are around Cyborg and Brother Blood, but that's not to say Peter doesn't help. He actually does here, and he helps when the Titans East are taken over by Brother Blood, helping Cyborg out in any way he can. Although, during the final battle, Cyborg takes down Brother Blood on his own, like in canon. While this is the last episode of Season 3, we'll add another one. This one will either call A Royal Rumble on the Ball, or Spider-Man Homecoming. The episode begins with the doorbell ring of the Titans Tower on prom night. Robin opens it and reveals none other than Aunt May. She apologises for intruding, but she couldn't miss seeing Peter on his big day. Robin smiles and saying not to even apologise, she's more than welcome here, before guiding her into the tower. Peter, meanwhile, is upstairs trying to fix his bow tie, asking the other Titans if they're sure they're okay with him and Raven taking the night off. Cyborg, Tara and Beast Boy all say of course. He's allowed to live a little. Peter smiles awkwardly as May and Robin suddenly arrive through the elevator. Immediately, May fusses over Peter's unkempt state. After fixing him up, Starfire gives Peter a big hug, saying she's so happy for him, also crushing him in the process. Peter is used to these hugs from Starfire and simply ruffles her hair while trying to escape to breathe. Eventually, Raven walks out of her room, quiet enough that she's almost not even noticed. Everyone looks over and their jaws drop in awe. Raven stands there in a beautiful black dress. Raven, upon noticing the stare she's getting, blushes and looks away, saying to stop staring like a bunch of creeps. They stop, and Peter is the first to speak, saying that she looks amazing. She tells him to shut up before quickly muttering that he's not too bad himself. Cyborg nudges Peter and he nods. Handing her a corsage, she asks what it's for, and Peter awkwardly explains it's a tradition. She nods and slips it into her hair. Starfire immediately gets all giddy, saying Raven looks beautiful, and she again rolls her eyes, already regretting this. After a picture of the team, May and one of them alone head to the party. Upon arriving, they meet up with Gwen, Eddie, Harry, and his date, MJ. Peter introduces Raven to the group as Rachel Roth to hide their identities, and to also prevent the uproar that would be Peter Parker managing to score a date with Raven from Teen Titans. Raven is very awkward at first, having short, vague answers, but eventually she starts talking more with Gwen and MJ. MJ specifically loving Raven's sarcastic nature. Later, Peter and Raven get up to get some punch. Just then, Flash Thompson walks over. Raven notices and asks who this guy is that's staring at them. And across the dance floor, he sees Flash Thompson already making his way over, smirking cockily. Peter averts his eyes and sheepishly says that's Flash Thompson, and that he's his childhood bully. Raven raises an eyebrow. Bully? Peter Parker's bully? Before she can press, Flash arrives, swaggering up to them. He ignores Peter entirely and locks on to Raven. He retorts that there's no way that puny Parker actually pulled a body like her. He continues saying that she shouldn't waste her night on this loser. She should stick with him and he'll show her a real good time. Raven sips her punch calmly, and then she sets it down. Her voice is low and sharp as she simply says no. Flash blinks, taken aback, but quickly shakes it off, leaning in closer, saying that Parker's a geek and he's not worth her time. She deserves far better. Raven's eyes narrow. She sets her cup aside and without hesitation wraps Peter's arm around her waist herself. She then turns to fully face Flash, her tone cutting and deliberate. She says to him to listen carefully. Peter is more worth her time than Flash could ever dream of being. He's smart, he's kind, and unlike him, he doesn't need to put other people down to feel important. The nearby students turn to watch. Flash's cocky grin falters as Raven steps just a little closer, finally finishing by saying for him to take his cheap lines and walk away before he embarrasses himself even more. Flash stirs, completely stunned. Murmurs ripple through the crowd, and with no comeback, he awkwardly shuffles away, red-faced. The crowd disperses, whispering about what just happened. Now Peter just stares at Raven in pure awe, like the world's so down around her. Raven turns back to him casually and as if nothing happened. Later, the time comes for the dance. Peter asks if she wants to, and she decides, why not? They stand up and start dancing with each other, stumbling all over the place. Peter actually thinks he's dead for a moment once he steps on Raven's foot, but surprisingly, she actually laughs a little, finding it amusing how awful the both of them are dancing. Eventually, they settle for a slow dance. They're both quiet, yet enjoying the moment of peace. Peter then says how he wasn't sure she'd want to come. She smirks and then asks why, because she's an antisocial weirdo. Peter then says of course not, and starts stumbling over his words. And then she laughs at that, saying she's just messing with him. She says that she's glad she reluctantly agreed to go with him. She's having fun. Peter breathes a sigh of relief, saying he's glad too. They both hold each other close for a moment, before suddenly a large explosion goes off, and out from it comes a large, slimy monsters. Symbiotes. Raven sighs, asking if a normal day is even possible in Jump City. Peter groans himself before turning to Raven, saying he swears this wasn't part of the venue. They run out with the other students. They then take a quick detour to the bathroom and to change. Raven then teleports them to the rooftop to create the illusion that they left along with the students, and then Peter and Raven swoop in through the hole in the ceiling before Fleisch gets turned into mincemeat. Peter swings in and saves him, hanging him upside down. Peter then quips to the symbiote minion that tonight was meant to be invites only. Alien goo monsters were not on the guest lists. The monsters hiss and lunge at the two heroes. Eugene comically cheers for Spider-Man, not knowing it's actually Peter underneath. The symbiotes swarm the dance floor. Students scream as Spider-Man swings in low, firing webs to trip and pin creatures, while Raven unleashes shadowy tendrils that drag them back into the wreckage. Peter then says to Raven that they should probably make this quick, because he's got about 3 songs before they crown King and Queen. Raven rolls her eyes and simply says, priorities. One symbiote leaps at Peter from behind. Raven's eyes flash, and her dark energy slams into it, knocking her away. Peter grins, saying that he knew she had his back, and she nods, saying that that's what team members do. They move seamlessly, Raven pinning groups with dark energy, while Spidey webs them into tight bundles, tossing them aside like garbage bags. Their long time of training together is very noticeable. Suddenly, the ground shakes, and a hulking brute symbiote emerges, towering over the others, dripping with slime. It roars and charges at Raven, catching her off guard. She raises her hands, but the brute plows through her defense, slamming her into the ground hard. Something Peter then snaps. He leaps in, slamming into the brute with a ferocity rarely ever seen. The usual banter is gone. He webs the monster's legs and yanks it off balance, and then spins with brutal momentum, kicking it square in the chest. The creature then stumbles back, roaring, but Peter doesn't stop. He yells to get the hell away from her as he lands a combo of punches faster and heavier than usual. Then with a final roar, he cocks his fist back and slams a full force punch in the brute's jaw. The massive impact echoes through the hall. The monster is launched across the room, crashing through the refreshment table. The giant bowl of punch explodes into the red wave as the symbiote splatters, revealing a robotic frame underneath that sparks and explodes violently. Silence falls for a moment, and students stare. Raven pushes herself up slowly, her eyes on Peter. She realises here more than ever how much Peter actually holds back. If that were a regular villain, a puncher with that level of force could have killed them. Peter turns around and then runs over to Raven, asks if she's okay. She nods, saying she's fine, but asks if he's okay because he got very angry there. Peter then says he is and apologises for losing his temper. She got hurt and it really pissed him off. He apologises again, saying he's sorry that their night was ruined, and Raven shakes her head, saying it wasn't ruined and he needs to stop blaming himself for everything. She puts a hand on his cheek and says that he saved her, and that means something. Peter blushes underneath the mask as he helps her up. Just then, the prom host exclaims for everyone to hear it for Spider-Man and Raven, and the school cheers for them. They start asking for photos. Peter then wraps his arm around Raven's waist and then web zips them through the hole in the ceiling onto the rooftop. They go back for a quick switch into their prom attire and run back to the others, who immediately run over asking if they're okay. They both nod and make an excuse that they got trapped inside, but Spider-Man and Raven saved them. They sigh in relief and all to say that that's enough craziness for tonight, and say goodbye to each other. Peter and Raven then turn, walk home together while holding hands. The rhythm of the guitar shifts subtly after that chaotic prom night. Where once Peter and Raven bickered like oil and water, now there's a quieter, softer undercurrent between them. Peter also becomes noticeably flustered when Raven isn't near. A straight brush of her hand, a quick nudge, or even her chin resting on his shoulder while they sit on the couch during the meeting sends him into awkward stammers and goofy smiles. He forgets what he was going to say, trips over his simple words, and generally turns into a dorky mess, much to Raven's quiet amusement. Raven, in turn, lets herself relax around Peter in ways that she never does with others. She uses him as a backrest on the couch, casually leaning against him while reading her book. She'll put a hand on his arm or a quick nudge, resting her hand near his. It happens more and more, and always intentional, yet framed as casual gestures. In her mind, she's letting her guard down and testing boundaries she normally keeps rigid. Around Peter, she doesn't need to be aloof, mysterious, or perfectly in control. He's just there. Peter notices, and of course, he's completely captivated. He doesn't understand why he feels so special when Raven, the girl who usually keeps everyone at arm's length, leans against him or nudges him like this. He can't stop smiling at her little quirks, and every subtle gesture feels like an intimate secret between the two of them. The rest of the Titans notice too. Starfire is openly giddy. Beast Boy snickers more than he usually should, and subtly monitoring the dynamic. They all recognise that while Peter and Raven aren't officially a couple, the tower's atmosphere has quietly shifted, an invisible tether pulling the two closer together. Time passes, and Cyborg, after getting a look at Peter's suit that has multiple seams and is currently falling apart, decides it's time for an overhaul. Peter reluctantly agrees to this, scared for what Cyborg could turn him into, but Cyborg promises to keep Spider-Man, and he's just making his suit more advanced. Later, Cyborg gets everyone's attention. He proudly says that he's outdone himself here, and that after this, Peter owes him like 10 pizzas. Peter gulps, worried that he's not going to like it. Cyborg then removes the sheet covering the suit, and everyone sees it. It's still the basic outfit, but the red is deeper, a more vibrant colour, while the blue has been opted out for a matte black. Meanwhile, the spider emblem is now a large white spider on the chest and back. Peter is elated, saying that this looks amazing. Cyborg then tells him to try it on, and Peter of course wastes no time in doing so. Everyone is very impressed with this new design, feeling it represents Peter's growth and maturity, which I think actually really works here. The reason why is because if you go back to the original parts, when Peter is wearing the red and blue suit, it represents his childishness and his playful attitude. He doesn't let people see underneath it he has a darkness inside of him, and because of that, everyone thinks he's immature and that he doesn't take things seriously. When he gets the black suit, darkness envelops him and shows with the sides that Peter doesn't want people to see. It brings out his ugliness, the rage that he keeps inside of him that he tries to keep dormant. And then after that, this new suit, it represents how he's matured as a person, how he still has the darkness inside of him, but he's not letting it control him anymore. He has friends here and he's trusted them fully. So that's why I decided to give him this new suit. Anyway, getting back to the story, time passes and Controller Freak escapes from prison, and the Titans all go after him, which leads to them going through multiple TV dimensions. The episode is relatively the same, although there's one funny scene within that presents Peter being sent to a very flatly drawn city. Peter feels strangely out of place in this world. That's where he hears an overtly dramatic voice ask who he is. He turns around to see a funnily drawn version of himself. He points at him saying that he's Spider-Man and asks who he's supposed to be. The other Spider-Man points at him back and returns and says that he's Spider-Man and that Peter is the imposter. There's a long back and forth between them that gets cut off by Control Freak, thankfully, and eventually they defeat Control Freak and everything goes back to normal, with no lesson being learned that day. Time passes, and after being defeated by a martial artist, Robin then decides that he needs more training, so he embarks on a mysterious quest to find the greatest teacher, the true master. This episode, of course, goes the same as well, but we also get to see a funny scene of Peter wearing the Robin outfit, which surprisingly fits. Time passes, and Dr. Light is back, turning up an ore rig on the coastline. The Titans arrive to stop him really quickly, as they could see what he was doing from their living room. Once again, Dr. Light proves that he can hold his own against the Titans until Raven sneaks up behind them and scares the living daylights out of him, just like she did in Nevermore. Dr. Light hastily surrenders. Cyborg declares a time to have donuts in celebration of their victory. Raven refuses to go back to the tower, saying that she wants to get back before tomorrow comes, leaving the other Titans to wonder what's so special about tomorrow. Raven then heads home, and Peter's eyes linger on her as she flies home. Something isn't right here. Tara then nudges Peter, saying that he should probably go check on her. She'll let the others know and try to save some donuts before Cyborg eats them all. Peter smiles and thanks her before swinging back towards the tower. And that's where we're going to leave this part off for now. I hope you enjoyed it, and again, I am really sorry that I haven't uploaded in a while. I have been really busy with exams and doing coursework and also applying for my university, which I'm going to in September here. But also life has, like I said, life has been very difficult, and life really called me. I'm not going to go into very much personal details because, of course, that's very personal to me. But I am feeling so much better now, and I'm more willing to upload a lot more now on both channels. I'm currently working on part 1 of season 2 of What If Goku Is My Hero Academia on my main channel. But if you want to check it out when it comes out. But as of right now, yeah, no, I'm doing 100% fine, and I'm completely free now during the summer. So I can definitely work on more videos. So thank you all so much for watching, and if you want to see part 8 come out as soon as possible, let's try and get this video to 100 likes. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace out, guys.